And she immediately emailed me back and said, well, I'm fascinated by what you're doing, let's have lunch. And so we literally, I think it was like a week later, we had lunch in downtown Palo Alto at a little Indian buffet restaurant. And Anne said, well, you know, what are you trying to do? What's your goal? And I said, look, when I filled out the paperwork with the IRS, they have a little line that says mission statement. And I said, well, I don't know, a free world-class education for anyone, anywhere? And Anne said, well, that's optimistic, that's ambitious. How do you plan on doing that? And I said, well, I want to keep making videos, but I could imagine building the interactive software even more, the stuff that I started making with my cousins, feedback, dashboards, tools for teachers, ways for kids to communicate online. We could internationalize it so anyone on the planet can possibly access it. And she said, well, you know, this is, strangely enough, it seems like you're on track to do this. How are you supporting yourself? And in as proud of a way as possible, I said, I'm not. And so Anne kind of nodded, and we parted ways. She got on her bicycle, I got into my car, and I drove home. 10 minutes later, I'm driving into the driveway, and I got a text message from Anne. And it said, you really need to be supporting yourself. I've just wired you $100,000. So it was a good day. And, you know, frankly, that was the beginning of a whole cascade of stranger and stranger events. You fast forward 2 months, I was running, you know, I was like this virtual teaching guy, and I was curious, what can you do with a physical environment if it's not based on lecture anymore? And so I had this little summer camp where I had about 25 middle school students, and I had 6 of them play a game of Risk, and then I had the remainder of the students trade securities based on the outcome of the game of Risk. And one 12-year-old actually invented naked shorting, and so I told him I could introduce him to some people. Quite well. But while that was happening, I got another actually series of text messages from Anne. At this point, I take her text messages very seriously. And it was actually hard to read, but it read along the lines of, I'm at the Aspen Ideas Festival right now, in the main pavilion, Bill Gates on stage, talking about Khan Academy last 5 minutes. And so I immediately boot the nearest 7th grader off of a computer, and I start looking for evidence that this, you know, what is Anne talking about? And I soon found people tweeting about it. I found even blog posts were starting to come out. In a few hours, I was able to find actual footage of the event, and Bill Gates on stage with Walter Isaacson talking about how he uses this thing called the Khan Academy with his kids. He uses it himself, which actually was a little bit scary for me. Those videos were for Nadia. Not for Bill Gates. And then I went home that evening kind of just confused and not sure what to do next. I mean, do I call him? What's the protocol here? And they left me in that somewhat bizarre state for the next 2 weeks. And so 2 weeks later, I'm literally in, you know, the world headquarters of the Khan Academy, which was our walk-in closet. And I was making a video, and then all of a sudden I get a call from Seattle. So this is intriguing. I answer the phone. Hello. And on the other side, this is Larry Cohen. I'm Bill Gates' chief of staff. You might have heard that Bill's a fan. Yeah, I heard that. If you have some time in the near future, we would love to fly you up to Seattle and figure out how we can support you. And at that moment, I was looking at my calendar for the month, completely blank. So I said, yeah, you know, I got to cut my nails on Wednesday. But